This video is to address the camera housing O-rings. If your camera housing has a double O-ring system like this one, we will tell you what to do and what not to do. This is the primary main O-ring, which you can take out and clean and apply silicone to it and reinstall. This is a secondary O-ring, which is essentially a backup O-ring for the camera housing. So this one you don't need to take out every single time and clean it. You can just take a tissue, visually inspect it, clean it all around, then you take silicone grease and apply it. However, if you've been storing the housing for a long time, or typically it's done once a year, the maintenance, you need to take out all the O-rings and clean them and clean the place where it sits. Then this is how you do it. You take this tool, which comes in a set, you pry the O-ring, take it out. It's important when you clean it, you don't stretch it over the size, so if you stretch it, it won't fit. Then we take just normal tissue and we slide it along the place where the O-ring sits, which is right here. And you can see we have some dirt on it. So the next step is to clean the O-ring itself. You can also wash the O-ring, but don't use any soap. You just want to use normal fresh water. If the O-ring still has some silicone, spend more time washing it to get rid of the silicone grease. Okay, now the O-ring is dry. Make sure this place where it sits is also dry. Now we are going to install it. To install it, first what you want to do is do this kind of motion. Essentially, you skipping a bit of distance in each time and then you're pushing the O-ring into the groove. Okay, now we see there's not enough. So what we do, we take it a little bit out and then we slide it over. We're pushing it and we're sliding it over inside the groove. So this kind of waves pattern, we're gonna slide it over so the O-ring can travel into a different direction. And make sure your hands are also dry and no oil, no anything. So wash your hands before you do this. Okay, now the O-ring is in position inside the groove. Last step, what you want to do is apply some silicone grease. You can apply the silicone grease directly onto the O-ring, or you can put it on your finger and spread it around. What we like to do is to apply a very thin layer of silicone grease all around it, and then use your finger to spread it on the O-ring. That is how you service the O-ring and place it back. As for the main O-ring, which you can take out quite frequently, typically it is every 10 times or 15 times you use it in the water. Or if it's very dirty, then you just take it out, as simple as that. Clean the O-ring. Again, try not to stretch it. Just light motion, very light motion. Then you clean the groove, the place where the O-ring sits. Then we apply the silicone grease directly to your finger, your index finger, around this much. We place the O-ring here and you use your thumb. And now we start pulling it. As you pull, you can feel the grease spreading on the entire O-ring. Okay, it's all greased up. then we can just place it back here. All done. We can close the housing, test it before using in the water,